Well, maybe the vice versa. I don't know. Our wires are crossed. Literally. There we go. Do a duet. Look at that. A duet. Okay. Spark was. I think I want to start by acknowledging Gordon's shirt down there, because.
I know, I just noticed that. It's very good.
Thank you. Yes, this is a reference to the criminally underwatched show Joe Pera Talks With You. If you haven't seen it, it's both funny, beautiful, and very kind.
Awesome.
Well, despite you being drunk and high, I'm still going to ask you some questions, I think. First of all, I just want to reiterate the points I just made and restate a heartfelt congratulations for how the show's been received and the nominations. Congratulations to you. What has, just kind of go down the line here, Ray, I mean, what has that reception meant to you? Do you try to tune it out? I mean...
I don't read the reviews. I asked my wonderful publicist and my partner Graham to give me the summary just so I would. We were all in London doing a press junket when it came out, and we had to go back into a press junket in the morning, and I didn't want to be surprised by a room full of people saying, hi. So they told me like it was received well, and I've caught wind of the Apple stuff and the Rotten Tomatoes stuff and all that. First, it's just a huge relief. It's just because we worked so hard on it and we loved it and blood, sweat, and tears into it. But then for this to just keep rolling and hear the reception from fans and critics and family and friends, journalists, the conversations it's inspiring in them, and the discourse it's enabling, and that's just been like so gratifying on top of all of it. And I'm lying if I didn't say nominations aren't fun. They're very fun. We're very grateful for those, and hopefully they bring in even more viewers to check the show out.
Absolutely. I want to hear from all of you on this too, just how it's been. And
I think it's incredible that people are enjoying the show, and like what Ray said, you do something and you put so much heart and soul into it, and you hope that people enjoy it, and to see them enjoy it so much, it's incredible the conversations that are starting for everyone and people's interpretation of the show and what it means to them. And we had so many banters on set about what the show meant to each of us, our own interpretation. It was so much fun. So yeah, it's been pretty special.
yes.
For me,
It's my first journey going through that, so this has been really, having a show that gets nominated like that, I'm like, it's pretty wild.
it is.
Yeah.
It's completely new to me. This is a context that I don't know about. So I had to ask someone to explain to me how Rotten Tomatoes works. Like, wait a minute, what is that 100% thing? And they explain to me, and it's so it's beautiful, it's overwhelming, and yes, the fact that it ignites so many conversations and debate, and it has it sets people in motion. That's beautiful about a work of art,
I guess if you don't know what Rotten Tomatoes is and you're told 100% Rotten Tomatoes, that it could
Yes,
be kind of scary.
it's misleading.
Right.
I
Yeah.
asked with hesitation.
Yeah. No. Great news. Lots of Rotten Tomatoes.
That's true. You must have had an interesting reaction. Were you like, that's a good thing, or were you like, is that a bad thing?
I asked with hesitation.
I can say from the writer point of view, we were so excited working on the show, and we also were aware that it was a big swing and a weird world that we were creating. So it has been genuinely thrilling and also surprising in the way that it's like if you're throwing a super weird party and like, we love it, we love our party, but will other people get it? Will other people like it? And then to find that you have, sort of partners in the world who like the same kind of thing that you like is incredibly gratifying. So we're so grateful.
I think the only hint that we had that maybe the show was going to work was that when we were on set and when we were in casting, casting and when we were in post, every single member of the crew wanted to talk about the premise the whole time. And a crew is a microcosm of the real world. You know, you've got the drivers, you've got, you know, the grips, the electrics, you have people from all walks of life and from all different backgrounds, and on this show from all over the world. And everybody would come up to us, you know, to the writers, to Vince, to the cast, and be like, I think this is what's going to happen next. Is this what the others are like? You know, and they would constantly be engaged. They would be emailing us at 4 in the morning like, I think that the people in the background should be doing this. They should be carrying these boxes and taking these things out of houses. And they were all so creatively engaged. We thought, if this is what the crew is like, then maybe the audience will be like this too.
And they did have theories. Sometimes I'd be like, man, don't say that yet. I'm not ready to divulge.
Of course, it's gratifying, but as the glass half empty kind of person here, I think, there's a lot of pressure now. And we were kind of making this show for years at this point, going, I don't know, man, maybe people will like it, but we're just trying to make the best show that we can, and we believed in with a story that we thought was good. And now that the writers are back in the room for season 2, and it's like, oh, okay, now what do we do? How do we have to do this? So it's a little bit more observed than I think we were for the last 3 years of working on this. So.
Yeah. Does anyone have a favorite fan theory that they have read that they're willing to share?
There's some good ones.
We avoid fan theories like because
Most of us
they
up
want
here
to
are
easy way out.
Yeah, most of us are up here are too thin-skinned to deep dive into the internet. We are being told there's a lot of very interesting fan theories.
We do enjoy the interpretations.
Yes.
And we're very excited that people are wondering, is this a metaphor for grief? Mm-hmm. Is this a metaphor for AI? Is this about social media? Is this a political metaphor? All of that we love and we appreciate, and we say yes, yes, yes.
I thought that the social media response, because of my complete lack of knowledge of TikTok and all of the other services, I thought everybody was going to want to do their own interpretation of how to join, how to change the shaking, all of that. And it turns out all of you want to engage with the show philosophically, and that's great.
You thought I was going to inspire like a seizure craze?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
New dad.
Don't you, after working with Nito, don't you kind of want to try it? I thought people would be going to Sprouts and like in groups with their friends and shaking.
Like a flash mob of seizing?
It's okay, we're learning about each other.
Wow.
This is nice.
Had not thought of that. No.
I like it, Jen.
Maybe this will inspire it.
You know what? Let's do it. Let's bring back the dancing play. Now, a lot of you have worked together before, which I think is a testament to something special here. So I want to hear, just from the writing team, what was it like also working together? How was your footing a little different? Because you're going from kind of a drama to a sci-fi series. Was there a glaring difference, and what was an unexpected challenge of that?
I mean, some of it's the challenges that we do know each other really well, so we can kind of outthink ourselves sometimes because we kind of know where everyone's coming from. But of course, mostly it's good. And in terms of procedure, it's exactly the same as we've done on the other shows. We have to sort of explore things in a different way because it's finding out what the rules of this world are. Is this in bounds? Is this out of bounds? And setting those rules and sort of figuring out what they make, what follows from them. Versus we had to do a very similar thing on Saul because it was we weren't lawyers, so it's figuring, is this law? Is this legal? Is this illegal? Can you do this as a lawyer? I don't know. And then we'd have to figure that out and figure out what proceeded from it.
It is very cool to have ongoing creative collaborators and to have a kind of trust. I mean, there are good days and bad days, and there are spiky moments and easy moments, but overall, you have a sort of trust with the people that you've been working with. It is also incredible, and I've never had this experience before, to create a show in its first season and know the actor for whom you are writing, and that the role was created for her, and already have such love and respect and trust for her abilities, and then to be able to take that and turn it up to 11, that is a real gift.
I mean, to speak more on that, having a role created for you, what does that mean to you? And then also just returning to work with these folks, working with Vince, I mean, what were the conversations about doing a new show? Completely different thing, and we have this character, and you're Carol, and here's what we're gonna do.
I get a little tongue-tied with this part of the questioning. This entire group of people, all of these writers specifically wanting to work with me again, and having, I think, one of the best all-time writers ever say that I would like to create a role for you is, I'm still catching up to that. I'm still trying to accept that, even though I shot the whole thing. So I'm pretty certain it happened, but I have immense gratitude. I also have immense gratitude for what that was born out of, that the way I approach roles and the way I work was specifically seen as an asset, and bringing subtext to a female role that might not, seeing something as somebody who doesn't have a lot of dialogue doesn't have to be a position of weakness. What if that's a position of power for a woman standing in a room with a bunch of men, and never gunning to get more, but them observing that there might be something interesting about me, three-dimensionalizing that part of her or whatever. And so it means a lot to me. It also means a hell of a lot to me that some of the first texts I got when it was announced that Vince was writing a show for me were from our crew members, and saying there's nobody they want more to be number one on a call sheet, and they'll be there, whatever the call time is, meant a lot. Yeah. Then on set, I'm working with these guys. It's the whole reason I got to the phone call where Vince said he wrote something for me is because I was calling every single one of them saying, hey, I'm fortunate enough that I'm going in for meetings now on other shows and other possible series that I could join at, but wherever you guys go, I will go. It's that incredible to set. The writing is that, intensely high level, and then also the environment that is very challenging in what they're asking of you is also very empowering, because instead of a work environment where many of us have been in, that you constantly feel like you're trying to prove why you belong there, you're met with a lot of energy that's, well, I think you're brilliant, of course, and like they believe in you more than you do sometimes, and you kind of want to meet the expectation rather than feeling like you need to dance faster because they're shooting at your feet. And then, as Alison said, the last thing I will say about that is one of the great gifts, if you get the chance, I mean, most of us just like, it's just, to get the chance to work at all is such a gift. But if you get to work with the same people over and over again, and now having these incredible people that they looked high and low for, among thousands, to find these two geniuses, as well as Samba Shuta, who is here. And the national treasure named Miriam Shore, who played Helen, my wife. They're cut from the same cloth. They're cast in a way because they see their work ethic too. They see the way they come out of character. So sorry, what I meant was that then you have this working environment, and I told Gordon one day, I said, it's taken I've been doing this over 30 years, and I said, I am not afraid to try. I'm trying to be great every day, but to not be terrified to fail because you have an idea and I'm just going to try this and it may or may not work, which is the only way you're going to not be mediocre is if you do take big swings. And I'm not scared that everyone's going to be like, oh, we made a mistake. We thought she could act, and she can't. And instead it's just like, yeah, that doesn't work. Let's just move on, and then I'll do an idea that Jenn has, or an idea that Gordon has, or an idea that Vince has, and it's the best idea wins, and everybody, they make me feel like I didn't just win the lottery, that I might be value added, and that's an incredible thing.
I love that. I love that.
watching Ray and the whole team and how, with each take she would bring such a different thing. And it was just incredible to see. And just so much courage and like there was so much joy. And I was just constantly going, wow, this is amazing. It was really cool.
What is it? I have to imagine it's very interesting when you two are in a scene together because it's, I mean, I've heard this being talked about is that humans mirror each other, but you're against a kind of collective we who acts not totally like a human does. So what is that like for you? And then just both of you, like putting those scenes together and that kind of dance that you do.
Well, I want her to speak to how deceptively difficult that role is. She won't say it about herself. That role is so hard and deceptively difficult, and watching her dial it in, and part of what you're talking about is that, yes, there are neurodiverse people who might not mirror or reciprocate emotion and gestures that are coming at them as much, but in general, we do mirror each other in conversation as animals, and then as actors, it's one of your greatest tools is to listen and react, but she can't, if I'm taking the conversation to an angry place, she doesn't go with it. If I'm crying, and Karolina is such an empath, an empathetic person, that she would start tearing up if I was playing extremely upset, but her character can't, and yet, she can't be a robot. She's not high on Valium. She's not not compassionate at all. She's thinking, she's sentient.
Yep.
They're evolving, they're gaining new intelligence. You watching the show, they go from not being able to tell that I'm being sarcastic about a grenade to making a joke about an orgy with Carol, and where she sees where they all sleep, huh?
That comes later.
Horrible at this. I should never be off script. It's basically.
Soundbites are.
I don't remember that scene.
Can't wait for the orgy scene.
What? No, there isn't an orgy scene. It's a joke. There is an orgy scene, and we joke about it. So anyway, I'm so happy that they wrote this for me.
We have trust in this room, right?
There's an embargo now.
I was just saying she's brilliant, Jesus Christ. We also do, I will say that about playing everything that you said, it was except for the last part. But also playing against each other, I knew that it's inherently dramatic while also being inherently comedic.
Yeah.
To have two people that are like two immovable objects that Carol cannot get her to react.
Right.
And she's freaking out about it. That's great.
Watching that, it's hilarious. But also playing against opposite Ray is just such a dream. You're so generous and so giving, and we would meet outside of shooting and talk about the scenes and dissect the scenes and what the scenes are about, and so get off book, get our lines in our body, and so then we can show up on set to play. And then Vince is so brilliant, and he would push me to try things and find the nuances within the character, and where Zosha doesn't come off as secretive or manipulative, and because she's not, and it was really fun to go on that journey and find these moments and nuances and have these discussions with you. It was really great, and it was very challenging not to mirror you because I am so empathetic. I'm like, I can't, okay. But it was really fun to go on that journey. And the crazy thing about this, and I've said it before, playing this character, because I'm Eastern European, I'm very opinionated, and I have a lot of feelings, and so I'm very reactionary, and to play a character, my very close friends would laugh. They're like, wait, you were cast as what? Are you serious? Because it's so the opposite of who I am, but it made me calmer in my life to do that day in, day out, and not be reactionary, and hold space for you, and allow you to have your feelings, and love you through it unconditionally, and have that journey was really fun. So yeah.
what does the writer's room look like when you're writing to like, because there's so many things I feel like you have to think about where it's like, oh, she would know how to operate a plane and how to do this and this and this and this. Like, there's so many things where you're just like, oh, we have to like go back and, I don't know, just like one of those, you know, the yarn. You know what I'm talking about, the yarn.
Yes, like a murder board?
The murder board. The murder board. But like,
A writer's room is a
I don't know what
very,
it's really called.
it's an intense place. What does it look like? You
Like you have a bowl.
It's like a bunch of smelly, grubby people trying to figure out what to do with story.
Sitting right here.
You just always wear that T-shirt every It's all right. It's cool. It's cool. Yes, I mean, we were in the first season of a show that has such a huge mythology. We had to ask each other, ourselves, a lot of questions in the beginning. And it was maddening and also enthralling. And sometimes we would hit walls, I will say. And we spent a couple of, difficult days talking about animals. Some hard times talking about babies. We know there are questions about babies. Please don't ask us about that right now. We were trying to figure out the science, the psi of the phi. And sometimes things came a little more easily, and sometimes things are hard.
To your earlier point, Ash, we all knew each other coming in. A lot of us had worked together on Better Call Saul for many years. Gordon and I went back with Vince since Breaking Bad, and Farrah, who wrote episode 106, who is here, who is an incredible writer, has known Vince for a decade or more in the feature space. So we have a very democratic and open, trusting writer's room, and that was the reason that I felt comfortable joining it in the first place. I was so terrified to talk to Vince about those aspirations of mine because I didn't write on the other shows that we worked on, but I knew that I was going to be walking into a safe place with a bunch of my best friends, and I would have the freedom to be able to pitch the craziest ideas of this weird show and not get shot down. That we'll entertain pretty much any idea just to see what interesting thing comes out of it. And our partners at Sony allowed us to have this incredible mini room that the three of us and Vince and our friend Tom Schnauz did right after Saul wrapped, just so we could talk about the rules of the world and what possibilities were up to the show before we had to go brick by brick episodically after Apple bought it.
And just to brag about Jenn for a moment, what she's describing is actually very unusual. She went from being a non-writing producer, which she still is, executive producer, to also being a writer-producer in the room, which is pretty unusual and very impressive.
There's nobody else like that.
Alison also has 2 jobs, well 3. She's a writer and executive producer, and she's my hype woman.
And a mother.
But we do, we try and make it as safe for everyone we can. It's just, we will hear different ideas. But we butt up against some of the questions, like Alison was saying, that everybody would about this sort of premise. And sometimes those arguments or like disagreements about what's moral, what's not moral, what would happen, what would you do, what would I do, what would someone else do? Those arguments will often make it into the show because we go, okay, this is interesting and it's somewhat dramatic because there's a conflict between, or just a change of viewpoint, and it's like, okay, great, that's something we should bring into the show. That's something that somebody should hear. Those are points of view that are relevant. So it's productive to just be like, all right, well, we can disagree with each other, but still we know we're kind of pulling the oars in the same direction.
In a way, our job is to respectfully disagree with each other because that is how we find, the sweet spot.
There was a day a week or 2 ago, we were in the writers' room for season 2, and Vince put forward a hypothetical, and he said, do you guys think, it was a yes or no question, and in the same moment, after Vince asked the question, Gordon and I each yelled yes and no, and completely 100% convinced that we were both right, and Vince just laughed and said, I'm so glad, this means it's working.
Oh, that's so brilliant.
And while these characters are having this discussion, Manusas is going through the Darién Gap, which has been
Easy.
That's one of my favorite Wikipedia wormholes I've ever been in. I've gone here many times. It is the craziest place. If you like break your leg, you die there because there's no one to help you. So just tell me about, first of all, filming those sequences. What was the most challenging aspect? And also, I'll get to this, but I'm just so excited to learn more about this character.
Well, the Darién Gap has a close relationship to me because I'm from Colombia and that's going on right now. People are migrating through the Darién Gap, so it's an ongoing tragedy. So that implied a lot of respect and responsibility in playing the character, who is a migrant himself. He has migrated from Paraguay to Colombia, from Colombia to Paraguay once, and now he has to migrate again. I mean, it wasn't, I have to say it wasn't dangerous because I was taken care of and safety was always first, apart from the fake stones that I was exploiting all the time. Sorry.
You have to tell the story. So we were filming the Darién Gap in the jungles of La Palma in a national park, and because it was a protected environment, we weren't allowed to move any of the rocks. We weren't allowed to unearth any trees, and so anything we brought in for Vesga to interact with had to be fake and not like seeded or anything that could potentially disrupt the environment.
Not organic.
Yes.
I was just not expecting it to be hollow.
Yes. So we brought in all these styrofoam rocks that were painted beautifully to look like real rocks.
So real that I thought it was a solid rock.
Yes. And Vesga gives 100% when he is performing, and so you were launching yourself off the chunga palm, and you launched yourself directly into this giant rock that was in front of you.
I went through it.
It exploded. And we were recording, and so it is on the gag reel.
I'm expecting to see that. I'm waiting to see that. So, it had a special challenge because he has so few lines, very few lines, and sometimes we would talk about it with Adam, and he would say it's a mantra. It's like a litany.
Adam Mercy, who directed the episode.
Such an amazing guy. Oh my God, so much fun to work with. And sometimes we would try to find ways of it not sounding like it was a robot or a recording going over and over. And I remember an exercise, training actors exercise, in which you have two volunteers and you tell them that a scene, you're going to play a questioning scene in a police station. You're the policeman, you're the alleged thief or whatever, but you can only say the lyrics to Mary Had a Little Lamb. And you have to play the scene with the intention, but only saying the lyrics to the song. And I remember that exercise for that scene, to find ways of finding new colors and finding new intention for it.
Should we do that to answer the rest of the questions? And you just only say Mary Had a Little Lamb, but just in the right tone.
She wants you to do that to the
Let's just do that now. We're using every question.
Let's do that.
All
Yes.
do that.
Well, Mary had a little lamb.
Her fleece was white as snow?
Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Mary went.
Chaos.
Ash help.
I was like, I don't know the second verse or anything. Just that part. I don't. Where?
Mary had a little lamb.
Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was no.
I feel like we all needed a Don't Ask Me shirt right now.
I feel like we're all driving high. No, I am excited to learn more about Rizos, and we are obviously getting to the point where they are going to meet. Without getting you in trouble, what excites you about what audiences are going to see with these characters in the next 2 episodes? And don't look at Gordon.
No, I'm not talking. They're looking at me like, shut up, Ray.
Yeah, well, I think for the next 2 episodes, people are going to see fun things. There's going to be some turns turns and twists and...
Are they gonna meet?
One time, back in Breaking Bad, Jen and I had to write the metadata, which was just like the stuff that goes under the episode descriptions. In the final season, we were getting to the episode Ozymandias, and I believe we wrote something like, things set in motion long ago move towards a conclusion. So I think that's some stuff that we're going to see in the next episode.
I think what's interesting with what we know about Carol and Manusos right now is that they're both heroes, they both want the same thing, but they have a slightly different point of view. And so I'm very excited to see places where that overlaps and places where that potentially has conflict.
I will say, I don't know if this is intentional, but when he's repeating his phrase, it reminded me of, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die.
It is intentional.
Guess what else is on the gag reel?
I know what you're gonna say, Ray.
I'm an awful person because as soon as he told me, like, I keep almost saying my name is Princess Bride. So a line,
Yeah, shouts around.
Yeah.
But I said, oh, you will. And he goes, don't say that. And I go, you're going to. You're definitely going to say it. Don't say it. No, he was afraid that he would say it. And I kept egging him on, saying, he will.
And I did.
He did.
We hoped in the writers' room people would get that reference because it's such a fundamental movie for all of us. We love The Princess Bride. We love so many of Rob Reiner's movies. But that was when we were like, oh, we hope the audience picks up on this.
Yes. Well, I did. The John Cena cameo. I have to bring that up. It was such an unexpected fun part. Love John Cena. How did that idea originate, and how did you pull it off?
Well, I think Vince came in and pitched it. We knew that we needed somebody that was like trustworthy, and we wanted a certain kind of famous and a certain kind of like, oh, this is a surprising role. And Vince, I think, had seen him on The Bear and was like, hey, what do you guys think about John Cena? And it so happens that my sister is a huge John Cena fan. Like, I got her like a Peacemaker cake a couple years ago for her birthday, which when it came time for Jen to reach out to his manager, she was like, hey, you want to see a picture of this Peacemaker cake? So we had a thing, and he did it and was fantastic. And love John Cena, peach of a guy. Apparently, Vince was saying yesterday that between takes he would go and play like concert level piano when they were recording, and he would just to relax. And he's apparently incredibly gifted, which is like so cool.
He's such an enigma.
He was so incredible, and we went to him. So Ganja, our director, who's here, and Vince, and a splinter crew. They flew to the East Coast to grab him on a Saturday, I think it was, in between his crazy Peacemaker Season 2 schedule. And he not only knew all of his lines, but he got to the set before anybody else. He was just waiting. And Vince was like, he got it in one take, but we flew all the way here from New Mexico. We had to make him do it 2 or 3 times. And he very kindly did a quick happy birthday to Gordon's sister. Yes. We're ride or die for John Cena now.
I love it. Have you all thought, this is probably too brain-breaking, if Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul exist in this universe because John Cena does, Golden Girls do, the Mayor of Albuquerque does?
There are some little Easter eggs, obviously, that are from there's the airplane Wayfair Airlines appears. There are other little things that are seeded through. I don't know that it necessarily means that they exist in the same universe, but
or the show.
Or that the shows. I don't know if the shows exist in that universe. Luckily, TV is not currently broadcasting, so we won't have to test that theory.
In a way, the connective tissue, in addition to just Ray as a human being, is Albuquerque itself. Like, it is a character in its own way, and it is sort of the through line as a setting, even though it's technically unrelated.
Yeah. For the cast, what is the scene that you filmed that has stuck with you the most, that you either, whether from like the filming it perspective, or you just were so excited for audiences to see it? Maybe it hasn't happened yet.
Can you imagine if one of us said like,
Yeah, I'm like, hold on.
still waiting on a big exciting scene.
No, I just mean like the audience hasn't seen it yet 'cause it's like in the finale or something.
I thought you meant still waiting.
It's like, no, I hated
The
it.
last, are you saying from the last 2 episodes? Like, what were our favorite scenes, or just throughout this year?
Throughout the series so far,
It's a
but
hard one because there's so many. I had so much fun.
did you have
I think I have to say that taxing the C-130, it definitely goes down. And like, I will never get to do that again. And I never thought ever that I would ever get to do something like that. So that was definitely bonkers.
You really did that?
Yeah, I really did. I know, totally, I know. It's a ginormous piece of machinery, and that plane is so big, and the propellers and the sound and smell. It's a really old plane, and at first the pilots were not sure. The first day we were shooting, the pilots were not sure for insurance purposes that they will let me do it. And then after spending a day with me and having conversations, because Sosha also carries, muscle memory of the best pilots in the world. So we would have to talk about, what it means to be a pilot and being a great pilot and all that stuff and how to behave and everything. And so after the day of rehearsing with them, they said, you know what? I think she can do it. I think she can actually taxi the C-130. And I did the next day at the Albuquerque airport, which was so wild.
That's so.
And it's a tiny little. It's not and you see it in episode 2. In episode 2, it's a wheel that you move around, and you have these pedals that are just stop and go and brakes, and you just move it around, and the plane just turns. It's amazing, guys.
They were very impressed by your abilities, I know that. Yeah.
Which is wild. I'm like, I can't believe I got to do that. There's so many things on the show that I got to do that are just mind-blowing. And
You know how to use an excavator too.
you guys, I was very popular with my kids. I was definitely a cool mom. It was awesome. It's so much fun. I highly recommend it, you guys. If you haven't tried it, please go play with an excavator. It's so much fun.
I do not recommend trying to dig a grave with just a shovel by yourself. It doesn't work out well. I think Gordon and I would definitely say that laying the pavers is one of the most.
I mean, that was excruciating. It was so much work. That whole episode, it was just like, this was an opportunity where I could be like, okay, Ray, I don't know what we're gonna do here. Just like, I could rely on you to be like, I'm not sure what the shape of this scene is, because we have to make laying the pavers down, have an emotional journey.
Yes.
And there's times where I'm like, I can figure out the shots, but like, what level are we at? What do we want to try here? And you'd always be like, all right, let's try this. And okay, maybe was that too much sad? Was that too much sweaty? What do we want to be here? And then we could kind of, we would find it. But
I mean,
that was exhausting.
a big thing that the show does, that Vince and these writers have always done in the other shows as well, is first of all, assume the intelligence of the audience, which I think is part of why his fan base is so loyal, because you're not being spoon-fed, you're not being spoken down to. And then he takes these wild swings in this one he's definitely doing with genre as well, but he has in the other ones, but then also tone. You can be, and so we did lots of takes finding scenes together where it's like, how comedic can this moment be while still supporting how dark this moment is and still live in the same show? And then also, they do these long sequences that they've done in other shows where you are advancing story by doing a character study, and often with a task. So these long montage scenes, with the paper stones, and we did have to find a journey for that. It was physically exhausting. You're trying to show the progression of time and show how hard it is for her to do it. But we had a good time finding it, and whenever it got super dark, I'm somebody that usually, there's a few times where I have to stay in a very, very quiet place to maintain where each take has to start, but other times I have to step back for a second and, cut up with my crew or whatever. And so one of my favorite things to do was to make people guess about 50% of the pavers that were on supply are real pavers that were very heavy, and about 50% were styrofoam painted. But sometimes when they're being loaded in or out of the car, the weight that you need the car to look like it's going up and down would have to be real. Other times pulling them out, they don't have to be real, but they have to be carried the same way the real ones are. And then also, if the shot shows the paver hit, aren't you sad you didn't actually have this question? It's fascinating. I'm kidding. I'm so sorry. Everyone's rapt about these pavers, I know. So if the shot shows the stone hitting the ground, the styrophones just like go phew, but the real ones hit the dirt and like a little puff of smoke goes up. So you have to be very picky about which one you're doing, and I would make the crew guess. Because I think I have a very good skill at pretending things are heavy.
Okay,
And I know how to pretend when things are hot. Yes. So I would make them guess real stone, fake stone, and they were wrong every time. Thank you. Golden Globe nominee.
We kept trying to convince Ray as we were shooting that to let her stunt double do any of the carrying of the fake or the real, just to give you a second out of the 100-degree heat. You wouldn't do it.
It was very hot. No. It was very specific what we were trying to figure out, what to tell with that story, yes. And the most beautiful shot at the end, if you go back and watch it, with the sun setting behind her as she runs back to the police car one more time, because you're trying to control how much time is passing, your whole crew and you have to keep clocking, so that the sun's in the place that you want it to be, instead of the sun doing this across the screen and showing time passage that you weren't ready for. Right. So when we wanted this sunset, and we're like, we could grab it right before it goes down, it's gonna be a beautiful shot. By then, the car was like way across that back lot, like not anywhere near where it was, and the whole crew and I are just booking ass trying to get over to where it is, and we got like 2 takes of it, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, we had to, we used a lot of time on the dissolve, the big high wide where it was just filling in space, and Paul, our DP, was incredible. It's like, no, mate, you got plenty of time. And he's like, okay, this is my terrible Paul, but he's like, no, it's fine. And then suddenly the sun is getting where he wanted it, and he's like, oh, we gotta move. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, you said I had time. And then, yeah, we just had to like drive the car. It's a very long lens, so we had to like drive the car way out into the fields to get the sun to be the right size.
As we come to a close here, we have 2 episodes left, I believe. Does anyone want to take the reins on what audiences can expect from these last 2 episodes? Who wants to get in trouble?
I don't think I'm allowed to.
Didn't I already dodge this question? No. I think we can expect. I think we can expect a clearly at the end of 7, right? We have Zasha returning, so I think we can expect seeing some development from that, and seeing what 40 days alone and a somewhat diminished capability for Carol at this point is going to mean when she's face to face with Zasha again. So I think there's going to be some development. Obviously, we all know about the orgies, so beyond that, then past that point, yeah, it does seem like, my hope is that Menusos didn't just die off screen. Who knows? Maybe he just died. Maybe that's the way that it ends.
That would be wild.
That would be wild. What a twist.
Well, thank you all so much. I cannot wait